Hey, good afternoon, everybody. On this beautiful, warm Friday in St. Louis, Missouri, I have been finishing my project. As you can see, I did my little wind chime up there. Thanks for all the views that saw me putting it together. It took actually longer than I thought it was going to. I have some new t-shirt designs that I'll tell you all about at the end of this. I've been working on this segment all week long, trying to find the right words where you can understand where I'm coming from and how you can relate to the things that I'm getting ready to speak with you on. For those of you who do not know who I am as of yet, I am Kitryn Marie. I'm an artist, a writer, a speaker, a life and a business coach. I reside in St. Louis, Missouri. I teach creative-minded women how they can take their gifts and their talents and how they can make money with it, either in the online space or in person. I also do life coaching, which is completely different from any psychiatry or psychology or cognitive therapy. Life coaching helps you recognize what you've been going through, what you like, what your internal flame burns for, and how you can change your environment and look at things just a little bit different so you are allowed to enjoy the better things that this life has to offer. I'll put my coffee cup down here a minute. I've been drinking coffee all morning. Trying to put together this segment that I am doing on the language of love. The love language that we each need to hear within our own life, our own relationships, our own partnerships, whether it be through our children, through work, through our romantic relationships, and who does it for you, not who does it to you. Which, though, there is a love language that comes to touch that I will get to later in this segment. But the words that you need to hear, the actions that you need to see, and the service that is provided to you by whomever you are with. Oftentimes we compare relationships. We come out of a bad relationship and sadly the next person that you are involved with suffers some of the repercussions from the relationship before. Aggravation sets in and nobody is hearing the language that they need to hear. Love fades. That lust, it is said that it takes about 2 years for that in-love lust to fall away and you start to see the true reality of who that person is. No longer do they feel like they need to keep up the false pretenses, trying to impress you, trying to say all the right things and do all the right things, because for one, it just gets really tiring when you are trying to present yourself as something that you are not. Our love languages really have a lot to do with what we saw as a child, the things that we learned as we were in our teens, and as we have gone through several relationships, I'd like to think at this point in our lives. I will say just real quick, I was married one time. I was married for 11 years. I have 2 children from that marriage, and then way down the line was in a relationship that I thought would be good for me. Thought it was time to settle down. And settling down and consolation prizes and wanting a healthy relationship do not go into the same love language. But it produced a wonderful child, and I have my 3rd child, Tyler. But the love languages that we need to hear to keep our relationships going and to keep the relationships, afloat. I would like to say that my love languages, now, whatever I say, you have to remember that there are 7 billion people in this world. If I seem to ruffle any feathers, if I seem to hit a nerve, Only you know why I hit the nerve. Only you know that when you can look in the mirror, you look at your partner, and you are trying to find the correct words that need to be said, or the correct words that you need to hear, or the correct actions or service or touch that you need to have in your life. And if you are not receiving what you are needing in your love language, then you seriously need to examine the relationship that you are in. We just happen to be in this time where too many people trade out, looking for the easier fix, looking for somebody new who doesn't know what our real personalities are. It's easy to trade people out if you're not getting what you want, your ego fix, not getting your need met because you don't know how to have the correct communication. You're not enunciating the right words that the person understands who they are really with. Not everybody is equipped with the same love language that you have. Not everybody has the same ability to do, to act, to provide, to be of service, to act, to touch the way that you need. And as we do get older and we are more comfortable with our own bodies and our own images, the intimacy that is developed between a couple in a monogamous relationship, only those two people understand what is allowed and what is not allowed in order for touch to be expanded on. But I want to talk just a little bit too, not so much about the touch and not so much about the sex and not so much about the intimacy, because we know that in this part of our life, intimacy changes. And intimacy and that lust, it fades by the way that you take care of yourself, the way that you keep yourself in shape. But what is it that gets to you? What words do you need to hear that make you want to be a better person for the partner, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, your spouse, whomever that you are romantically involved with, that wants to make you be just a better person? What does it for you? Who does it for you? I'm going to try to give a few examples. And like I said, if I hit a nerve, it's not intentional. I did ask if I can give a certain reference, and I was told I had permission, that I was trusted. And that's important when you are in any kind of relationship, that trust be the very first word that you need to hear. When it comes to words and positive and powerful affirmations, do you need to be complimented? Do you need to have accolades on every bit of how you look or how you dress or how you act or how you're performing in your job? Do you need to hear those words of affirmation to make you become a better individual, to make you want to provide a little bit better, to work a little harder? I don't need a whole lot of praise. All the years that I worked as a bartender, all the years that I worked in food and beverage and dealt with quite a few different alcoholics and addicts, the innuendos, the crude remarks, the sexual overtones, the left-handed compliments about body parts, it kind of did something to the inside of my mind where I don't need that kind of affirmation on how I look or how I dress or how my hair is or what jewelry I'm wearing. I don't need those superficial accolades. What I need, my love language, is somebody telling me how hard they see me working, which makes me want to perform better in my job. How I take care of my home, because I want to keep a clean home for when whomever comes over, whomever comes home to me at a certain point in my life, because right now I am single, that they can see how hard I work at keeping my house together, the pride I have on my home. My love language on spending money. Growing up, the way that I grew up, money was always tight. And coming from my grandma and grandpa and my dad and my aunts, everybody had a different idea on money. Your love language on money. Can you be frivolous with your money? Are you able to pay your bills, have money left over, or do you need to stretch your money? And the person that you are with, what are they doing with their money that you can understand how they look at money, and does it work and correlate with your idea of money? Excuse me. I'm known as Miss Frugal. I am known to stretch 15 cents. As a matter of fact, today I'm looking at, I've got $25 in my wallet that I need to go to the grocery store. I've got a couple $100 in the bank, knowing that the house payment was due a few weeks ago. I know I have some jobs coming up. I know with having a business, it's ebb and flow, and money I make stretch and work the best that I know how to have it work for me within the power that I have. Now, if I'm with somebody who is very frivolous with their money, who spends their money with no regard to the responsibilities that they have, that just sets me on fire. That is not a love language to me. When I was dating Matt, Matt is generous to a fault. A gift giver. His love language is giving gifts because it makes him feel good to be able to provide a gift. Me, because I grew up in a household where my dad said, it's not Christmas, it's not your birthday, you don't need that. If you want something, go to work, earn your money, and buy it yourself. So my love language on gifts was completely different than his love language. And as he would buy and present, I would say, I don't need it. Just stop spending your money. And he would be offended because it's not that I didn't appreciate the gift, but it was more of he was angry because I was not allowing him to be generous like he wanted to be. Another love language is action. What actions do you need in your life that make you want to have more fun, be more vibrant, come alive? I like to take care of my health. I like to exercise as much as I can when my knee is able to function. I'm not a sit on your ass kind of girl. I'm not a sit on a bar stool kind of girl. I'm an action girl. I want to go fishing. I want to go explore. I want to have adventures. What actions are you needing in your life to bring that camaraderie together with your partner that make you want to do things together? I also find it's totally okay if you have your own interest. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. It's okay if you have your own interest, because the love language is, if you are interesting enough as a human being, as an individual, you are allowing conversation, communication to be built. But if you are constantly hanging on what your spouse, significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend is doing, you have nothing of any interest on your own, and it becomes very mundane, becomes very routine, becomes very, very boring. I think it's important as a healthy couple to go off, have separate interest, because it does build that line of communication. It makes somebody become interesting, where you want to hear about their day. You want to hear about what they discovered. It opens dialogue, and dialogue opens up to a further part of intimacy. When you are able to converse the way that you think and the way that you feel. You know, in the very beginning when you're dating, I always said it's like going on an interview. It's like going on a job interview where, you know, you're putting your best foot forward and you're saying, I like this, I like that, my mom did this, my dad did this, I grew up like this, I've always had this, yes, I like that. And then somewhere along the line, when you get together, and God forbid you get together too quick, I can promise you that relationship is going to dissolve faster than a bath bomb in hot water. You know, it takes time to build these relationships. It takes time, and as the relationship changes and this in love and this lust and, oh, Mr. Wonderful fades, what is left within the relationship that is going to pique your love language? I like going to antique stores. Not necessarily to buy, but to look to see, because it stimulates a memory. It stimulates a conversation that I can say to whomever I'm with, or even later down the line that I have something to refer back to. I like to fish. What is the love language that you have with your partner that makes you want to provide an action? What is it that your partner wants to do that you can do that's going to show him that you have taken an interest in what he is doing? Oftentimes, you know, you're not going to like what the other person likes. I'm not a NASCAR person. I have no desire for NASCAR. What else? I'm not a big sports person, although I like baseball. You know, but these are things that whomever I would be with, I would listen to what they would say. You know, I would entertain the idea because it is something that they would want to do. And it would go the other way around. You know, I'm an artist, so I like going to art shows. It makes me happy to be able to, you know, converse with other artists. And that doesn't mean that the person who I'm going to be with is going to want to do that. But in order to see me happy, that person might want to take an interest in doing that. And then we go on to services. You know, my biggest pet peeve is don't start a project with me if you are not able to finish it. I am still sitting with an electric box and conduit running through my backyard for a pool that I had at one time that was started that was never finished. I have other outlets in this house that were started that were not finished. It's important that if you are a service, love language type person, you know, I like projects. I like being able to start a project, work on that project with that person, and see the project come to fruition. So what is it? What services do you need done? What service is it that maybe, you know, taking your kids so you have more, your husband can take your kids so you have more time to put yourself together, take care of your house, so when he comes home he feels like, oh my God, you know, by helping her take the kids, I can see she's, you know, has more time to provide this home environment for our family. You know, it's the little things, it's the actions, it's the service, it's the touch. It's the intimate way that you can correlate with each other so you are both contributing to a healthy relationship. You know, when we talk about our health, if you are not a healthy person, but your significant other is a healthy person, you know, it's a matter of trying to come together because you need your health. You need to have that healthy mind and that healthy heart and that healthy lifestyle. You know, you want to talk about touch. You want to talk about being intimate. You want somebody, and I say this a lot, you do not have to be a size 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 to be healthy. But you want to be your optimal best. You want to look your best. You want to put yourself together the best you know how to do. So when your significant other comes home, he wants to be able to kiss you and touch you and hug you and want to make love to you at the end of the day or the night or however it is that you fit that activity into your lifestyle. I want somebody who's fit. I want somebody who's healthy. I don't want a couch potato. I don't want somebody who has let themselves go, has a beer gut, hasn't, you know, groomed himself in decades. That is not a love language to me. If I am taking care of myself and I'm keeping myself in the healthiest that I know how to be, I am expecting that same love language from the other person. it is all about love languages. It's about till death do us part, for richer, for poorer. When you are trying to live your best life and you are trying to keep your relationship going as it is, growing through different stages. Your friendships that you have in your relationships, is it enough to sustain the relationship for the rest of your life? And it brings me to a story, because y'all know I got to tell a story. One of my very, very favorite books that I have read is by Elizabeth Gilbert, the Eat, Love, Pray Girl. And her book, Commitments, talks about relationships and the different cultures on how people come together. Now, being Italian, way, way, way back in the day, there were arranged marriages. Even my grandma had an arranged marriage, and my grandpa got wind of it. They were dating, and they ran off and got married before the other person had the opportunity to come along and marry her up. So in Elizabeth Gilbert's book, she's from Minnesota, I believe, up north, and she was talking about her neighbor. And when the neighbor was young, him and his brother, they had a family farm. And the brother, being older, goes to the younger brother and says, it's time that you start looking for a wife. It's time you start looking for a partner that is going to help you with your life, with our farm. Who's going to be strong enough to, withstand these winters on this farm? And the young boy, at that time, he hadn't even really thought about getting in any kind of relationship because he was young. He was a boy. He was doing his thing and working the way that he needed to work for the family. And he thought in his mind that there was a girl at the drugstore that when he would go get a soda at the fountain, she was nice to talk to, that she could carry a pleasant conversation. She kept herself neat, and she kept herself well together and composed. She was a Sunday church-going girl, white Protestant WASP type, if you want to refer it to that. And he thought she might be a good potential, mate. And he started going into the drugstore a little bit more often. And Elizabeth Gilbert had been asking him how they had met. And he's going into this whole big story on how they came together. And she said, well, did you fall in love? Was it love at first sight? And he said, what does love have to do with it? He said, I was looking for a helpmate. I was looking for a partner. I was looking for somebody that would grow old with me, that would want the same things that I would want, that we would be able to build something together. So he proceeds to tell the story that he took her out and they dated, and it was a perk that not only could she talk really well, but she looked really nice too. He said she was just a swell girl. And after a few months of dating, he decided she would be the one. So they got married. No big bells, no big whistles. The girl thought, it's time. Maybe I should just settle down. He seems like a nice boy. He has a nice family farm. He'll provide really, really well. And earlier in the days when Elizabeth Gilbert had asked her, how did you come together? Was it love at first sight? And she said, no, love had nothing to do with it in the beginning, but love grew later on. We built this life together, which made me love who he is even more than what I met him. She said there's wifely duties that just had to be done. She said it was uncomfortable, it was ugly, and I didn't feel right at first, but knowing that was my job and that was my duty as his wife, and we had these three or four beautiful children. And the life that they built was based on the commitment that they made towards each other because they had the same goal in mind. Nobody was running off cheating. Nobody was being emotionally abusive. Nobody was being emotionally cruel. It's all about the timing and the right place and the right time and the things that come together because you have an emotionally filled heart tank, which you are willing to share whatever it is, whoever you are, and whatever love language that you are speaking that the other person is choosing you to be with. There are no options. There are no choices. So later down the line, this woman, she's now in her 80s, 90s, and she gets deathly ill. And I wish I could think of what the gentleman's name was, and he is wheeling her in a wheelchair down the church aisle because they went to church every Sunday. They were very staunch, religious, political, community, activity type people. And he said, it was my duty. She gave her life and her time to me all these years. This is the most that I can give back to her as she is sick to be able to take care of her. Now, in this day and age, we're all so self-absorbed. Nobody wants to take the time to, they let themselves go. So I can't imagine the person that lets themselves go, who's so self-absorbed, who has no love language, what it's like to be able to take care of somebody that they have committed their life to, still thinking that they can be single and they can be run around and they can cheat and they can be abusive. It's about the commitment. It is about for richer, for poorer, for better, for worse, till death do you part. And if you are not speaking the same love language and you're not being the best you can be for your partner, bringing the two of you together, then the love language is not there, and you need to work on what it is that you need to hear and then what is being done so you can listen to what each other need in the relationship. And it is all about timing. And although you've come out of one bad experience, it's like grieving. Nobody can tell you how long it takes to get over something. Trauma, drama, the shock of life changing, it does something to a person's heart, to a person's mind. And one other person might be ready for commitment, but the other person isn't ready because they're still trying to heal and they're still trying to wrap their head around the situation that they were in. And sadly, that other person does get affected. They do get the brunt of what went wrong in that other relationship, and trying to find those love languages that you were able to refill that tank. Because unless your tank is completely full, you can't give anything to anybody when you're running on empty. So I am Kitryn Marie. I am an artist. I'm a writer. I'm a speaker. I'm a life and a business coach, and I do reside in St. Louis, Missouri. If you are interested in any of my work, you can go over to kmgraphicapparellandart.weebly.com. As you can see behind me, my new line of t-shirts that I have available. These are for sale, or you are more than welcome to order custom made. It takes 2 to 4 weeks to get delivered to you. All payments must be made through paypal.me/Kitryn Marie. No order will be made without payment. Again, if you can see my little art project that I did last week, I'm kind of proud of that. If you were interested in any of my other art classes I am booking right now, again, go over to kmgraphicapparellandart.weebly.com to see all the classes that I have available. If you are interested in a personal mentoring, a business coaching, life coaching, go over to kitryn-marie.weebly.com to set an appointment with me. You can have me for 2 hours in person. You can have me 1 hour online, or you can send up to 4 questions at $10 a question via email at kitrynmarie@gmail.com. I did want to say briefly, today's message is sponsored by Avon. They've got some wonderful, wonderful summer products. If you are interested, I will leave the links below. Just this week, I have partnered with Healthy Bean Organic coffee that I will be bringing to you. All the links, all the wonderful attributes and the benefits of drinking this fabulous coffee. Also, as of this morning, I was accepted by the Grove Collective. I will be talking to you on Myers products, bringing you fresh and healthy and good ingredients that you can use not only for inside your body but on the outside of your body, because you always want to be your optimized best. So for today, for tomorrow, be happy, be blessed, be thankful for all the wonderful things that come into your life. Always feel free to leave a comment below. It is greatly, greatly appreciated that this channel has grown. Like, share, subscribe, leave comments. I love reading them. I love answering you back. Remember, fate does turn on a dime, and you need to decide what side of that coin that you want to be on when it gets tossed in the air. So you take care, and I'll see you all real soon. Bye-bye.